So guys, ever since John Harbaugh became the Giants head coach, the expectations surrounding this team have been completely different. There's a growing belief that the Giants are finally building something that can compete at a much higher level. But now comes the first real test. And now, rookies along with some year two players officially reported to the training camp, we're about to find out whether this new direction can actually translate onto the field. So, let's talk about why this training camp could be one of the biggest storylines for the Giants heading into 2026. What's up, Big Blue? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Giants. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay, so it's officially a big moment for this team, honestly. The rookies reported in, and Giants Collective happened right around the same time, too. And look, I've been waiting for this stretch for a while now because this camp is looking nothing like what we saw before. I mean, think about it. We're finally getting a real, honest look at how John Harbaugh runs things compared to what we had the last few years. And honestly, I think that's the part that gets me the most excited. It's not just about new faces on the roster, it's about a completely different approach to how the team is going to be built and prepared day in and day out. When rookies show up on day one under a new regime, you can usually tell pretty quickly what kind of standard is being set. And from everything I've heard so far, this standard is night and day compared to what we're used to seeing around here. Here's where I keep coming back to. John Harbaugh has already said the team is going to practice 10 out of the first 11 days. 10 out of 11, guys. And from what I remember, Brian Daboll never even had these guys practice more than 2 days in a row, like ever. So right away, you can feel the difference in approach. This isn't going to be a country club anymore. This is going to be an actual football camp. And honestly, that's exactly what this roster has needed for a long time. Think about what that actually means for a team that's underachieved as much as this one has. When you practice that often, that early, guys are getting real reps, real contact, real situations they're going to face once the games count. There's no easing into things. There's no coasting through the middle of camp because the head coach doesn't want to push too hard. Every single day becomes an evaluation, and every single player knows it. And honestly, that kind of environment tends to separate the guys who really want it from the guys who were just kind of coasting along before. And you know, this matters way more than people realize because the Giants opened the season against Dallas. That's not just any week one opponent either. We haven't beaten Dallas in a meaningful game in 10 years. 10 years, guys. Let that sink in for a second. Sure, I like to talk trash to Cowboys fans on Twitter, and honestly, it's a lot of fun doing it. But when I'm being real with you, the truth is we haven't had a win against them that actually meant something since 2016, when we snuck into the wild card by beating them 10-7 in a defensive slugfest. That was also the last time we swept them in a season. Now, technically we did beat Dallas back in 2020, but come on, that game meant absolutely nothing. We were 6-10, they were 6-10, and Dak only played a half in that final game. Nobody remembers that one because nobody needed to. So when I say we haven't had a real win over Dallas in a decade, I mean it. And look, I know some of you are probably tired of hearing me bring up Dallas so much, but honestly, you can't talk about this Giants camp without talking about who's waiting for them in week one. This isn't a game you can ease into. It's the first impression of the season, and after everything this team has been through the last few years, that first impression matters more than ever. And this is exactly why this camp, and honestly this whole season opener, carries so much extra weight. It's not just one game on the schedule. It basically counts as two because it's a divisional matchup, and it sets the tone for everything that comes after it. Dallas has an offense that can hurt you fast, with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak slinging it around, and their secondary is still kind of a question mark for them too. So, the Giants can't afford to walk into that game underprepared, not again. And that leads me to the other big problem we've had, which is how badly this team has started seasons. We haven't scored a touchdown in a season opener in 3 straight years, think about that. Dallas embarrassed us 40-0, Minnesota beat us 26-6, and last year, Washington took it 16-6. Over and over, the same story, slow starts, no answers, and by the time we figure things out, we're already buried. And it's not like this is some kind of new pattern either. It's been going on for years now, and every single time it happens, the excuses start piling up. People point to injuries, people point to the schedule, people point to whatever narrative fits that particular week. But when it keeps happening year after year, at some point you have to look at the actual cause instead of the symptoms. And honestly, I think a lot of that comes down to preparation, not talent. This team went into games without proper backup plans, sometimes without even a reliable kicker sorted out. That's not bad luck, that's a lack of readiness. Now look, injuries happen to every team, that's just football. We had 3 ACL tears on this roster, and stuff like that is part of the game no matter who's coaching. But when you're not preparing your depth guys, and you're not building in real structure during camp, you're setting yourself up to lose before the season even starts. So this year feels different, and I think it's because John Harbaugh is bringing intensity that's honestly been missing. And that matters for more than just wins and losses early on, because a lot of the confidence in that locker room has to be rebuilt too. Most of the guys in that room have only known losing. The ones who've been here for just a couple years haven't really tasted winning football at this level. Honestly, I think Darius Slayton might be the only guy left from the old Dave Gettleman regime, along with Andrew Thomas. That's it, just those two. Everybody else is still figuring out what winning even feels like around here. Now, we did have that one magical run back in 2022 that kind of caught everybody off guard when we knocked off Minnesota in the wild card round before running into the Eagles, who were the top seed that year. That was fun while it lasted, and it showed flashes of what this team can be. But outside of that stretch, it's mostly been frustration and close calls that slipped away. And that's really what gets me, honestly, because last season in particular, we let so many winnable games get away from us. We shouldn't have lost to the Bears. We shouldn't have lost to the Lions. We definitely shouldn't have lost to Denver. And that first game against Dallas, we shouldn't have lost that one either. 4 games right there. And if your defense is holding up in the fourth quarter and your coordinator isn't costing you leads, you're probably winning at least a couple of those. 4 wins changes everything. 4 wins probably means John Harbaugh isn't even our head coach right now, and Dennard Wilson isn't calling our defense, and Matt Nagy isn't running our offense either. But here we are, and honestly, I'm choosing to look at the bright side of it because with those changes came some real excitement too. We brought in Arvell Reese, who I'm genuinely excited about, and Francis Mauigoa as well. Now, yeah, losing Dexter Lawrence stings. Everybody loved Dex, and our run defense was rock solid with him anchoring things. But we got younger. We freed up a good chunk of cap space by moving him, and we turned that into a top 10 pick and used it on one of the best offensive linemen in the entire draft class. Maybe even the best one, period. And on top of that, with our own natural first rounder, we somehow landed the best defensive player in the whole draft too. I still can't believe he actually fell all the way to 5th before we scooped him up. And honestly, that's what makes camp so interesting to watch this year. It's not just the veterans adjusting to a new coaching staff, it's these rookies coming in and immediately getting thrown into a much tougher environment than rookies here have had in a long time. There's no gentle introduction. There's no easing into the pace of things. From day one, they're being asked to compete, and I think that's exactly the kind of pressure this front office wanted to put on this new class right away. So when you put it all together, guys, this offseason wasn't just about adding pieces. It was about changing the entire mentality of this organization. And that starts at the top, with a head coach who's actually won a Super Bowl before, and who's won a ton of games in this league already. This isn't his first time running a locker room. He knows how to handle personalities, he knows how to deal with the media, and honestly, he's already shown he can address issues directly instead of dancing around them the way things used to be handled before. That kind of steady leadership tends to trickle down through an entire roster, and I think we're already starting to see it in the way guys are talking about camp, in the way the schedule's been set up, and honestly in the overall tone coming out of the building this offseason. Look, every single fan base feels optimistic this time of year. That's just how it works. Bad teams make changes in the offseason, they add free agents, they land higher draft picks, and every fan convinces themselves this is finally the year things turn around. I get that, and I try to stay level-headed about it. But with the Giants specifically, this feels a little different because the biggest piece missing before wasn't talent, it was structure and discipline and an actual plan heading into the season. And now we've got that. Now that the rookies have reported and camp is officially underway, I think we're about to learn a lot about this team, and a lot about what direction it's really heading in. Is this the year the Giants finally get off to the start they need? Is this the camp where things actually click before the games even start counting? I honestly think we're closer to that answer than we've been in years.